President Trump speaking out after the Senate is now in recess. Dozens of his nominees now left hanging. And I did want to share this with you. This is what President Trump posted on Truth Social, specifically focusing on Senator Schumer right there, a Democrat from New York, saying Senator crying Chuck Schumer is demanding over $1 billion in order to approve a small number of our highly qualified nominees who should right now be helping to run our country. This demand is egregious and unprecedented and would be embarrassing to the Republican Party if it were accepted. It is political extortion by any other name. Tell Schumer, who is under tremendous political pressure from within his own party, the radical left lunatics, to go to hell. Do not accept the offer. Go home and explain to your constituents what bad people the Democrats are and what a great job the Republicans are doing and have done for our country. Have a great recess and make America great again. To speak more on all of these political developments, I do want to bring in political analyst Richard Gordon. We appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's really great to be on again and good to see you.
President Trump certainly not one to mince words, specifically targeting Senator Chuck Schumer. And we were playing out his remarks shortly before all the senators left for August right there. You know, can you talk about the holdup there in the Senate? It was a rare Saturday session, and now dozens of President Trump's nominees is still kind of left there hanging.
Sure. Well, look, there's a lot of things going on here, and both Senator Schumer and the president are pretty much sticking to their talking points. The president wants his nominees put through, and the Senator Schumer, wants things that he doesn't like about the Trump bill to be changed. He wants more money put into different things. Now, let's be honest about what's been going on. This didn't happen yesterday. This has been going on, since the Obama days at least. And what has happened is, back then when Obama was president, a lot of nominees were just left hanging, never even got a vote. And so they tried to change the Senate rules, and they did change the Senate rules for the lower courts. Well, guess what? When President Trump was elected the first time, he changed the rules for the Supreme Court. And now there are 3 people on the Supreme Court who might not have made it if the rules were different. So, both parties are playing this game here. And to be honest with you about the American people, they don't care about the game. They don't care about this internal struggle. They want things accomplished. Now, on a personal level, I believe, let's forget the courts for a minute, but I believe that a president, unless someone is totally unqualified and unfit, should get the people he wants to serve in his or her government. On the judicial side, look, the president's been putting up a bunch of people who they're getting through with 1 vote majority, or 2 votes, who the American Bar Association are saying are unqualified, who are extremely young, who just haven't really done a heck of a lot. And Democrats are really mad about that. And this is how they're expressing it. So what Schumer wanted was a deal to get, and this is what the president was upset about, was to get some things back for this. Yeah, we'll give you your nominees, many of whom will serve for life. We will give you your nominees, but in return, you got to help us on some of these things like rural hospitals or cuts in Medicaid or many of the other things that were done in the Trump bill that passed on July 4th.
So now the Senate is in session. Once they return in September, how does this all play out? Is it just going to be the infamous, congressional gridlock once again?
Well, you have to remember something about the Senate rules. And one of the things about the Senate rules is that they can make recess appointments. So don't be shocked if a bunch of these people who were stalled suddenly get appointed, technically temporarily, to their jobs. So that may happen. And I think Senator Thune will try to get that accomplished. What I think is going to happen in the fall is they'll go back to these negotiations. And honestly, this is a pure political game. If it's in the Democrats' interest to move forward on some of these pieces of legislation, they will. If it's not, they won't. The same thing for the Republicans. And, the irony, the sad irony, if you ask my opinion, the sad irony of all of this is the American people really want certain things done and their lives improved. And the 2 parties by and large, they don't disagree tremendously. The Republicans feel hamstrung to have to do what the president wants, and the Democrats feel the complete opposite, that they just have to oppose everything. But I think if you put a few of these people in a room, they're going to come up with a solution to a lot of these things. Whether they can sell it to the president and whether they can sell it to the Democratic Party is something completely different. Most of these things will grind into deadlock, I believe. Especially, we're coming up to the midterms, and everyone's trying to read the tea leaves and figure out what the heck is going to happen.
And speaking of reading the tea leaves, obviously there's strategy for both parties. And you're talking about the American people really not caring about the political game. Could this backfire for the Democrats who are refusing to allow these nominees to get through and perhaps preventing progress from being made?
Well, I honestly don't think the American people care less about the judges, for example. I don't think they even know what that's all about. On some of the policy things, they do care. But again, what has happened in America? The Democrats are listening to certain television stations. The Republicans are listening to others. So what President Trump just said, which you just aired, is going to air on certain networks, and people are going to get very upset about it. Those are going to be Trump people. The other networks are going to add mostly what Schumer said and a little bit about what Trump said. They're going to get mad at Trump. So this humongous divide that we've had in this country now for these many years is not getting any closer to being satisfied. And everyone is listening. It's an echo chamber. Everyone's listening to their own people, so they're hearing what they want to. So, when President Trump says, when these people come home, you go tell them that they're stopping, great progress and they're bad people, et cetera, however he put it, those people are going to believe that. On the other side, they're going to be saying, oh my God, I can't believe Trump is trying to push this through and put these terrible people on the bench. So everyone's going to hear what they want to hear. We're not getting any closer to getting together as a country. That's what we should be doing. That's what the leadership of the United States Senate and the Congress should be doing. Not worrying about these little minutia and, gamesmanship, which really is not doing the American people any good.
So looking ahead, you were talking about reading the tea leaves, looking ahead to the midterm elections. How do you see all of that playing out? Do you think there's still going to be the great divide?
Oh my goodness, yes. I think this election is going to be relatively close. It's hard to see at this moment how the Democrats win the Senate. It's hard to see how the Republicans win the House. And the proof in the pudding on that one is, President Trump is trying to redistrict Republican states in order to get more congressional seats for Republicans, because he knows they're going to lose seats. But which, by the way, if your listeners don't know, is usually done once every 10 years. So they're changing the rules. And now all these Democratic governors are saying, fine, you want to redistrict Texas and Florida? Guess what? We're going to redistrict California and New York, and we'll see what happens. So I think the election is going to be close. The years of these massive changes, 65, House seats switching, 8 Senate seats switching. I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're too evenly divided. I think redistricting and largely gerrymandering has made most of these congressional districts unwinnable for the other party. So I see little change. And then the final point I'm going to make on that is simply this, which is I think a lot of Democrats were hoping that President Trump and his policies would be grotesquely unpopular, and therefore they would just ride to victory in 26. I don't think we're seeing that yet. The president's numbers are not good. He's the second lowest approval rating of any president except himself the first time. But it's not horrible the way a lot of Democrats thought. Unless something changes, unless the cuts that he's making to Medicaid and food stamps, et cetera, really start hurting people and they start understanding it, I think the 2026 election is going to be enormously close. I'd bet on the Democrat Party and win the speakership, but I think it's going to be close. And if they redistrict places like Texas and Florida, and the Democrats don't do the same, well, I think the Republicans will hold on.
Well, we'll just have to see all of this playing out. Richard, as always, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's great to see you.
And we are keeping a very close eye on all of the developments coming out of our nation's capital as we take another